You are making life tracks. Every day you go to work, in your home, you made life tracks this morning. Sometimes life is tough. Sometimes it's hard to always make the right decision. And sometimes the truth is we don't always make the right decision. And even though there are no do-overs in life, you can't go back and do it over, God always gives us a marker where we can start again. And no matter whose tracks are in your life that messed you up or that tried to mess you up. See, positive influence is great. Negative influence can also make you great. People use negative influences as a reason to become nothing in life. But then there are those who reach down inside of their character and inside of their fight, and they find a better way of life and a better way of living. I share with the dream team about my grandfather. Albert Glenn was a man that was probably like 5'7", 5'3". Was I taller than him? Wow. And he had a very, very tough life. Both parents deceased because of a health epidemic in that day and time, and the kids were doled out to neighbors and area farmers, and some family split up. And he used to tell me stories about old man Henniger. Pinniger. What a mean old man he was, how he beat him, how he made him plow fields, age of 7, 8, 9 years old. How he determined in his heart he was going to leave as soon as he got a chance to leave that man. And he did. And his life path brought him into a head-on collision with a young lady who looks a lot like our Brittany. Her name was Grace, because he needed some grace in his life. Now, grace is a double-edged sword. It does cover you. It does love you. But grace will not let you stay where you are. And this Grace he ran into was a little Pentecostal lady who loved God, had a mother who raised 11, 12 kids by herself on a farm. Strong. Dynamite comes in small packages. When his life crossed her life path, she began to pour into him. And that kid who could have become nothing but a derelict in society, he had every reason not to make it. Every reason. To become a gang member, murderer, hater, angry. He had every life track in his life to become that. But somehow or another, he dug down in the soil of his life and decided, I'm not going to be like old man Pinniger. I won't ever treat anybody like that. Then he married her, and she began to pour into him who he was. He eventually owned his own business. He had a work ethic that would put most of us to shame today. I remember very well, he came to our home in Chattanooga when we lived here before. Brittany was a little girl, and Mom and Dad were here from out of town. Dad had just come back in from England from preaching overseas, and my papa could work. I mean, he could smoke you when it came to working. There's one kind of like him. Troy, why don't you stand up? This is my mother's double first cousin. Troy, stand up for me. I know you love attention. That's how my papa looked. See, now his mom married, I got to get this straight because it sounds like incest, but it's not. Their mom and dads married mom and dads. They're brothers and sisters. Let's see. Your mom married my grandmother's brother. And then brothers and sisters married brothers and sisters. So mom has no siblings except for Troy and his two sisters. So when Tanya met Troy, she said, wow, I feel like I'm looking in my Mo's face. I said, because you are. But he could smoke most of us. I remember he lived with Mom and Dad for 17 years. And he came to see us in the fall season, and we had leaves all over our yard. We had a very large yard at that time, and he was just an expeditious kind of guy. It had to be done now. Nothing could be put off. Nothing. Understand, when you came to visit his home, he vacuumed you out the front door. Literally, I'm not lying, not exact, not stretching the truth. Mother will tell you. The morning everybody was supposed to leave, you'd hear the vacuum running. You're like, okay, we didn't bring a whole lot of cooties. We're not that dirty, But he came that trip, and he knew the yard needed to be raked, and so Dad had come in from overseas, and he and Steve really, really wanted to watch a ball game that afternoon, and they just decided between the two of them, we're not going to the yard to rake leaves. Just not happening today. So we were all in the family room watching the ball game, and so Papa thinks that if he goes and gets the garbage bags and the rake, that it will motivate these two men to come help him. Well, it did not. Typically, that was not typical for my husband nor my father, but they were done. They were both exceptionally tired, and it was just not going to be a leaf raking Saturday. So he spent, a little while in the yard by himself and realized he was up against a pretty mammoth task. I remember him coming in the front door. He was fuming. I cannot believe these boys will watch this ball game. I said, Papa, it's just the way it is. So he bagged up about 10 bags, and he was done. But he had every reason in life not to make it. And you may be like Albert Glenn today. You may have had a life track in your life that gave you every reason not to make it. But hopefully somebody's come across your track of life that has told you you can do something different. And if nobody has ever told you until right now, I'm going to tell you right now, you were born to be different. I don't care who's spoken trash into your life, whether it was a parent or a school teacher. I don't know who's not believed in you. I don't know who's tried to stomp on you and convince you that you're less than. You were created by God himself. And he loves you with a radical love. And no matter how messed up, you say, well, Rita, I've messed up my life tracks to right now. They're really screwy if you want to look at them. They're just like all over the map, because sometimes they're in line and sometimes they're just everywhere. That's okay. You don't get a do-over, but you can get a start over. I wish I could give you a do-over, but I can't. But I can lead you to a man who will give you a start over. And he washes our life as clean. He just erases it and says, as far as me, I know people around you are going to bring out the skeletons and rattle them at you, but as far as I'm concerned, I cast it in the sea of forgetfulness. He cannot even remember who you were in the past because he chooses not to. Here's how I want us to end this service. I want you to go to that nearest aisle next to you and grab a life track, if you will, and bring it to the altar with you. Just move in close.
Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him, with him.
Just move in tight. Move all the way up, so everybody can get as close as they possibly can. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn your life tracks in to your heart and just hold them close to you. You say, well, this is kind of silly. No, it's not. Because you decide what your life track is on in your private moments. So I want us to talk to God for a few minutes in your own way about your own life tracks, your own life choices. Talk to him about you and your journey. Keith, sing that for us again while we just talk to God for a few moments. Father, we thank you.
I will follow.
Touch my decisions.
Where
Touch my heart
he
issues.
leads me,